Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome one and all to the Box Score Mail Visit. I am your host, Mike, and it looks like Craig Counsell is headed to the Cubs. You have Mendoza headed to the Mets, and Vogt headed to the Guardians. Let's go ahead and find out the deals for all three of these new managers for their respective teams. This first one is for the Cleveland Guardians. Mandy Bell wrote this article. It was posted on Monday. It says, "The search is over. The Guardians announced on Monday that former catcher Stephenvogt has been named the 45th manager in franchise history. Sources told MLB.com that Vogt received a 3-year deal, which the club has not confirmed. Throughout a rigorous interview process that also included candidates like Brewers manager Craig Counsell, Yankees bench coach Carlos Mendoza, we'll talk more about him, and Dodgers first base coach Clayton McCullough, the Guardians were looking for a person who shared the same values that the organization has already established, while also bringing in a new perspective that challenges this group to think about things a little differently. Despite the list of more than 40 names that the Guardians believed could fill these desires, it was Vogt who stood out among the rest. We're thrilled to welcome Stephen and his family to Northeast Ohio and to name him the next manager of the Cleveland Guardians, said Guardians president of baseball operations Chris Antonetti. Stephen earned a reputation as one of the best teammates in the game across his 16-year career as a player, and we've greatly enjoyed the opportunity to get to know him over the past several weeks. Stephen has thought critically about the type of leader and manager he wants to be, his deep care for others, his ability to build meaningful relationships with those around him, and his open mindedness and curiosity make him an ideal fit to lead our club moving forward. We couldn't be more excited to partner with Steven. Former manager Terry Francona left with big shoes to fill. He won the most games by a skipper in franchise history, 921 to be exact, and was the team's longest tenured manager. After 11 seasons with someone like Francona, who came to Cleveland with 8 years of big league managerial experience and 2 World Series reigns under his belt, the Guardians are now turning to someone in a much different position. The 39-year-old Vogt ended his playing career after the 2022 season. At that time, he already knew he wanted to be a big league manager one day. He just didn't know what the journey would look like. He spent the 2023 season as a bullpen and quality control coach for the Mariners, and when multiple managerial openings popped up across Major League Baseball, he threw his name into as many hats as he could. Vogt was beloved by every coaching staff he played for. He spent 6 seasons with the A's, 2 with the D-backs, and one apiece with the Rays, Giants, Braves, and Brewers over his 10-year big league career. The former catcher has an excellent baseball IQ, and as a player, he was a leader in every clubhouse he stepped into. Like Francona, Vogt is known to rely on his sense of humor to connect with players of all ages, and for a young group like Cleveland, this approach may prove to be a perfect fit. So, congratulations to Stephen Vogt on being named the new manager of the Cleveland Guardians. Mets to hire Mendoza from the Yankees as next manager. This article is by Anthony DiComo. It was posted on Monday. And it starts off by saying, in the end, the Mets did not need to look far for their next on field leader. The team is set to hire Yankees bench coach Carlos Mendoza as manager, a source told MLB.com on Monday, injecting a measure of youth into the dugout. He takes over for Buck Showalter, whom the team dismissed in October. The Mets have not confirmed the hire, which was part of a carousel of moves across the baseball landscape on Monday. In Chicago, the Cubs hired Craig Counsell, who had been a leading candidate for the Mets job. And in Cleveland, the Guardians hired Stephenvogt to lead them. In New York, the job went to Mendoza, 43, who served as bench coach for 4 seasons under Yankees manager Aaron Boone and was on the Major League staff for 6 years. The Venezuelan native previously was a minor league coach and manager, as well as a player in the Yankees and Giants organization. This will be the first Major League managerial job for Mendoza, who will also join Ozzie Guillen as the only Venezuelan born full time managers in Major League Baseball history. Two other Venezuelans managed on an interim basis. Mendoza's managerial experience also includes a stint in the Venezuela Winter League, as well as dozens of MLB opportunities filling in for Boone after ejection. His hiring represents a stack departure from the 67-year-old Showalter, who came to the Mets with 2 decades of managerial experience. It's the first significant hire for new president of baseball operations David Stearns, who also interviewed Counsell, his former manager in Milwaukee. While Counsell ultimately took a new job, he accepted one just down the road from his full-time Wisconsin home. It's not clear how close the Mets came to hiring Counsell, but a source said the former Brewers manager did advance to multiple rounds of interviews. Others involved in the process reportedly included A's manager Mark Kotze and former Padres manager Andy Green. In New York, Mendoza's charge will be to bring stability both to the dugout and the organization. Mendoza is the sixth manager since 2017 for a franchise that has also employed 6 different heads of baseball operations since that time. So the New York Mets are officially making a change with Carlos Mendoza coming across the Hudson River to Queens, New York to become the Mets' new manager. Now, what does this say about the Mets themselves? Are they going to compete in 2024 or are they going to wait till 2025? For you Met fans out there, I'm sure you want to see the Mets compete. Who could blame you? That's what you want to see from any team. Any of the 30 teams around Major League Baseball, you want to see them compete. In a stunning development, the Cubs have hired Craig Counsell to be their new manager. The Cubs announced on Monday that Counsell will replace David Ross at the helm of the Northsiders, who fell short of the postseason after a late season fade this past season. The Cubs pried the 53-year-old Counsell away from the rival Brewers and made him the highest paid manager in history, sent shockwaves around the baseball world. Today we made the difficult decision to dismiss David Ross, president of baseball operations Jared Hoyer said in a statement. On behalf of the Cubs organization, we expressed our deep gratitude for David's contributions to our club, both on and off the field. First as a player and then as a manager, David continually showcased his ability to lead. Sources told MLB.com's Mark Feinstein that Counsell's pact with the Cubs is a 5-year deal worth a record $40 million. Our last story for the box score Mound visit. Well, this also came out on Monday, and it's by Jordan Bastian, and the Cubs have hired Craig Counsell to be their new lead man in the dugout. In a stunning development, the Cubs have hired Craig Counsell to be their new manager. The Cubs announced on Monday that Counsell will replace David Ross at the helm for the Northsiders, who fell short of the postseason after a late season fade this past season. The Cubs pried the 53-year-old Counsell away from the rival Brewers and made him the highest paid manager in history, sent shockwaves around the baseball world. Today we made the difficult decision to dismiss David Ross, president of baseball operations Jed Hoyer said in a statement. On behalf of the Cubs organization, we expressed our deep gratitude to David's contributions to our club, both on and off the field, first as a player and then as a manager. David continually showcased his ability to lead. Sources told MLB.com's Mark Feinstein that Counsell's pact with the Cubs is a 5-year deal worth $40 million. The Brewers made an offer weeks ago that would have made Counsell MLB's highest paid manager in the neighborhood of $5 million per year, according to MLB.com's Adam McCalvey. According to the Cubs, Counsell will be welcomed in a press conference at Wrigley Field early next week. On Monday, Hoyer was en route to Scottsdale, Arizona, where the annual GM meetings are being held this week. Counsell was known to have met with the Mets and Guardians about their managerial vacancies. In 9 seasons with the Brewers, Counsell guided the club to 3 division titles, 5 playoff appearances, and 707 wins to 625 loss record. That's a 531 winning percentage in the regular season. Ross managed the Cubs the past 4 seasons, going 262 wins against 284 losses for a 480 winning percentage, while leading Chicago to an NL Central title in the pandemic shortened 2020 season, as that season was a 60-game season, and the Cubs managed to win the division, but they also were swept by the Marlins in the wild card round. The Northsiders look to be on their way to a playoff berth in 23, but dropped 15 of their final 22 games to fall out of the October picture. Ross 46 was under contract through the 2024 campaign plus a team option for 25, and was praised at season's end for his work in guiding the Cubs through a turbulent summer. Both Hoyer and team chairman Tom Ricketts raved about how Ross kept the team focused all season. Even so, when you have management praising you, especially in the sports world, it doesn't always mean that your job is safe. The change in direction with Ross, a beloved member of the 2016 World Series championship team, is reminiscent of when the Cubs hired Joe Madden away from the Rays ahead of the 2015 season. That played a role in Chicago turning the page on a rebuild and entering a stretch of 4 straight playoff appearances, including 3 consecutive trips to the National League Championship Series. We have 3 teams on this Monday who have made changes, and you can't tell me that these changes aren't going to be positive for the respective fan bases. It's going to be positive for Cleveland, yes. Cleveland's going to ask, what can Vogt do as manager? How's he going to motivate the players? How's he going to structure his lineup? How is he going to manage his starting pitching staff and his bullpen? The same can be said for Mendoza. The same's still going to be said for Counsell. Even with his managerial experience, fans in Chicago, fans outside of Chicago are going to wonder, okay, what can you do that Ross was unable to do as manager? I wish David Ross the best of luck. He will land on his feet. He will find another job elsewhere, whether it's with ESPN, as he was before for Baseball Tonight, or with another ball club. As far as these 3 managers are concerned, I wish them all the best of luck, especially Craig Counsell. Yes, I am a Cub fan, and if you ever watched the box score, which was on the main Pacific 4 and 4 channel, well, you will know and you will see how much of a Cub fan I am. Speaking of the box score, including the box score Mound visit, that's where you're going to find a lot of the content now is right here on Pacific 4 and 4 and so much more. I am going to keep the previous videos that I've made for the box score and the box score Mound visit on the main channel, starting with this video. Any future baseball news or stories that I choose to talk about, well, I will make a video and post them here. Until then, everyone, thank you for your time. Hope you like what you saw. If you have any questions or just want to talk, just let me know. And always consider subscribing to Pacific 4 and 4 and so much more, and the main Pacific 4 and 4 channel. On Pacific 4 and 4 and so much more, we will talk baseball. While on the main channel, we'll talk pop culture and entertainment and also do gaming. So, guys, remember, I'm not just a baseball guy, I'm an all around guy. Take care, all.